Such a good spot. We've got a question from JJ. What does Lionel think of the Menendez brothers case reopening?
They're going to be reopened. They're going to end up being not acquitted, but they're going to be given credit for time served. They're going to be done with it because in 1989 or whatever, when this was occurring, we weren't in the position of understanding or grasping the notion of how this was. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever heard of a woman who has been beaten, humiliated, subject to psychological humiliation and torture and over years and years and years and years? And she can't leave because she has kids or because of the husband who has this kind of like a Svengali-like kind of hold. And then one day he's sitting there and she could leave, absolutely. But he's just watching TV. She gets a gun and blows his brains up. Now, there's no legal definition. It's not insanity. It's not because she knew the difference between right and wrong. But it's like a learned helplessness, or it's this little sister don't miss when she aims her gun. She's just had enough. It's like the great song by the Bodines, Runaway. It's like it's just her tolerance. It's almost like learned helplessness. It's the PTSD. It's you just break out. And even though, yes, you could have left. Yes, you could have sought help. Yes, I absolutely believe that occurs. That when you take especially a child and you have your parents doing this to them and you put them through these horrors, you completely rewire their sense of right and wrong. And I think if I were the juror, acquitted. It's my nullification. You see, we have this thing in this country called the insanity defense, which is absurd, which stands for the proposition that you didn't know the meaning of right and wrong. You were so labored. You were like a zombie walking around. No, a lot of times people know the difference between right and wrong. Let's say this happened here in New York. Psychotic person, schizophrenic, heard voices. And this person was told, push this woman on the subway track as a train was coming. Knew it was wrong, but the voices told her. She ran from the police, knowing it's against the law. The insanity defense didn't apply. I think because in order for you in our country to be guilty of first-degree murder, you have to have the critical, the intent, the absolute specific intent to bring about the death of a person with malice aforethought, premeditation. I know I'm doing this. And anything that gets in the way of that. Intoxication can be an impediment. Others as well. That acts as a defense. So I think there are many, many reasons where people, did you ever see the movie, what was it, Sleepers? Or was it Sleepers? Where they went back and they got this guard, Kevin Bacon. I think it was Sleepers or Clockers, or I forget what it was. But anyway, they went back and they killed them because they were abused as children when they were in a reform. This was years later. I remember in the movie Ray Donovan. Remember the priest, and there are situations where I think we, by virtue of, call it natural law, I think you could almost absolve somebody of this, but you have to tell the jury, there's no defense. But if you find I'm not guilty, they can't, appeal it. The criminal justice system, for the most part, is horrible. It treats every case alike. It treats every person alike. And the real bad people, let me tell you something right now. The real bad people need to be warehoused. I'm not a fan of the death penalty, but I am a fan of warehousing them. Take them out of society and put them out. Get rid of them. You've heard people give you one chance, but sometimes the level of harm is so great, we're not going to take any chances. We pick you up and we put you someplace where you can rot. It's cheaper to let them rot and hang around other killers, whatever they want to do, watch TV, they'll never see the light of day again, period. And after a while, Shaun, people say, you know what? It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. These people mean business. But in our country, I don't know about yours, we have a joke of a system, a complete joke. We had a thing here. I never understood this. There was a case, we had 2 bad hurricanes in Florida recently. And somebody tied a dog up or left a dog outside on a pole or a post or something in a hurricane. And people said, oh my God, a little dog. And we're going to find that bastard. What about kids? What happens to kids? Well, kids, it's weird. Dogs, we go nuts over. And animals, and they're wonderful people. I appreciate this, but this is ridiculous. Children today, it is so bizarre how we have no.
Will there be another jury for the Menendez brothers? Question is.
Well, there what?
Jury.
Nah, they're not going to. No, they're not going to go. No, because there's no defense. What are you going to do? You put them on there. Did you shoot them? Yes, I shot them. Yes, I shot them. But this Gascon, the district attorney, is going to say, you know what? Out of an abundance of caution, out of justice, compassion, clemency, we're going to look the other way. You know what I mean? Because there's no defense. They killed these people. They said it. There's no doubt. What are you going to do? Go to trial for what? What are you going to do? I don't know. I would put all my money in sentencing. That's where a lot of times, but here there's no, you're not going to get probation for this. Let me give you an example. There was a great case. You can look this one up on the YouTube. There was a fellow whose son was either abducted, but certainly was molested. And the actual, how do I say this? The perpetrator was caught, found, brought back. They were walking him through the airport. You might have seen this. You can see it. This guy was on the phone, and he said he drank like a fifth of liquor. He was just so upset. When the guy walks by, he pow, drops the gun. He got probation, paper, as we call it, because a judge said, I'm not going to put him in prison. He's not a harm to anybody. Now, is that wrong? Yes. Did he kill him? Yes. Did he intend to kill him? Yes. Is that an excuse? Yes. I think there's an excuse. What do you want to? It's his son. That doesn't make any sense. There's no, what do you mean it's his son? Was he crazy? It wasn't crazy. Anybody can kill anybody. People can kill all the time. It's very easy. And it's so funny the way I don't want to get into anything involving, let's say, war around the world, but there are some people who can kill and they say, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Other people kill. In Vietnam, the My Lai massacre, Lieutenant Calley, where they gunned down these hundreds of villagers, and it was just, and I heard people say, well, war, you got, and I love the way we compartmentalize and we can reduce people by virtue of who they are, what their religion is, where do they live. They're not the same as we are. It's called the systematic dehumanization of people, and we look down upon them. And that's what these predators do, because when you're, maybe not Diddy, but when you're like that, you look at the groupies and you look at these wannabes as they're just trash. Look at them. I'm going to throw them scraps. They want to just kiss the hem of my cloak. Well, you know what? You're going to dance. Dance for me, perform. Why? Because I'm special. I'm Hollywood. I don't have to worry about what's right and what's wrong. These people are sick. And Shaun, it is a part of anybody can do this. There are people who went to war, kids, young people who like that. We talked about this, the Milgram experiment, the Stanford prison experiment, where people can be made to shock people. We've already talked about that. I think we have. So we need to look beyond the criminal justice system. I hate to say it, because look, why are they charging him federally? Why? These are state crimes. Who was it who said this Diddy is so bad they didn't charge Harvey Weinstein with federal? I don't believe. No, there's no state. Harvey Weinstein flew back and forth. I'm sure there could be some federal case about him traversing, state lines or whatever it is. But they didn't want him. Why did he? Why?
Because women were moved over state lines, transported.
But they didn't want this. They didn't think it necessary. Why federal for Diddy? Why? And let me also tell you something. You know that people are talking about the Epstein thing, no matter what you say. I will go to my grave thinking that we're always not being gaslighted. I hate that term, but sometimes we're being conditioned to accept the absurd, and we'll look at you and we'll say, well, I told you we had the Attorney General of New York, of the United States, Bill Barr, by the way, whose father gave Epstein his job at this school, which has nothing to do with it, but it's happenstance. We've already been through this. They killed him. It's strangulation, hyoid bone fracture, thyroid cartilage fracture, petechial hemorrhaging, liver, the whole bit. And Bill Barr said, oh, it appears to be suicide to me. Try taking these papers and hanging from, the guy was 6 foot, you don't need to drop to hang yourself. Look at Robin Williams. Look at others. You don't have to do this. But it was absurd. They just said, nothing to see here. Okay. Nothing to see here. I got to tell you this much. For the longest time, I've been telling people about geoengineering and what people call chemtrails, which you shouldn't, but it's called geoengineering and solar radiation management and Project Cirrus and Project Storm Fury. And they said I was crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but not because of this. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying, yep, it is. It's called dimming. It's a way to tackle and all of a sudden, it's okay. Everything that people said about the Rona, about COVID, remember that before? They said, oh, that's crazy. Today, it's like, yep, that makes sense. Wait a minute. It's okay now? Yeah, it's okay. You can go. It's all right now. It's like in Catholics.
There's a period of time when it matters. And once that's over, then you can talk about it. But
I'm a retired Catholic. And when I was a kid, anybody who ate meat on, who was it? George Carlin said, you're doing 5 to 10 on the meat wrap. You ate meat on Friday and you're going to burn in hell. And then they just stopped it. I don't know why. They just said, We had a thing called limbo where unbaptized babies went. People forget that one. Most Catholics, so they think I'm making this, thinking of Harry Belafonte or something. They just changed their mind. They just changed this is a part of the theology of the church. They just changed their mind. What do you mean? Yeah, it's okay. We don't do that anymore. That's where we are.
Question?
Yes.
Question from Carla. Do you believe the Tupac murder will be reopened?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the first person I would say, let him out, 100%, 100% immunity is Suge Knight. He knows more stuff than anybody. Put Suge Knight in there. I would grant immunity to everybody who knows something about that. Just go down the list. That was one of the that's one of those ones where people somebody knows what happened. Somebody knows a lot. And for some reason, either because people figure a bunch of criminals are shooting each other, I don't know. But Suge Knight, have you heard him? He's great. Shaun is funny. Sometimes when some people speak, you think that son of a bitch knows something. I believe him. I've seen this. I have seen cases where all of a sudden it's like no witnesses. It's a he said, she said, and what's the old joke? It was a he said, she said, she said, she said, she said. Anyway, but somebody will take the stand and this person will say, that man did it. And ma'am, do you see the person in the courtroom? Right there, the defendant, Shaun Attwood, right there, sitting there with the red. He did it. You did it. Oh my God. And the jury said, that's it. That's it. Because we, Shaun, are able to convey a kind of a wavelength, a discussion. We look at kids, we can tell when somebody's upset, somebody's telling the truth, somebody's legit. We know this. You know, Tupac, this was a god to people. This man was not just, Tupac, Biggie. It's almost like people look at these people when they died. It was a part of their music. That was Elvis and John Lennon and everything. And it desecrates their memory when we don't have finality. Malcolm X, John Kennedy. We don't care. We're not going to lift a finger. Bobby Kennedy. The world is filled with that. And it takes just the slightest, this world that loves all this CSI bullshit, pardon my French, how we love, to get to the crime. Nobody does. Nobody really wants to get down into it and put a case on and let the world, we used to have Russell tribunals and Sartre tribunals. We should have citizen tribunals where we put on a trial. We put the witness on and we let everybody, kind of like that Malcolm, what's his name, Simon Cowell. How do I look, Simon? I look great. Where we have the entire world vote guilty, not guilty. Because I will put 100% of my fate in the hands of regular, honest to God, hardworking, common sense people. They are brilliant. People who aren't contaminated by this world. People are so smart. And you know who else I would want? If I was on trial, all women. Women are the best. They are just, in a good way, evil. God had a choice of one of two of us to have kids. Now listen to me. I mean evil in a good way. You cross a woman, you hurt her kid. Who was it? The lioness or you let her? A woman is so much smarter. They can read through BS. They can tell immediately. That's why so many of them have so few friends, because they don't trust anybody. And that's why women will tell you the worst enemy for a woman is a woman. Women are terrible to each other. Men are always, hey, Shaun, let's go. I mean, we have to be serious. Look at the way look at your Jaguar. Listen to that. Listen to her inherent sense of like justice, right and wrong, and this passion. And that's why these sick bastards who think that you can decide, I'm going to be a woman, I'm going to be a man. No, it's hardwired. It's hardwired. There's something about, I mean it. Women are the best detectives. They disarm. They're just, and let me tell you something. If women ran the world, we wouldn't be in war. It'd be even better. And now that may sound like I'm being patronizing. I mean every word of it. I think women are superior. Remember, it's always been said, women are crazy, but men are stupid. Men kill each other. Women don't. Name the women prisons. 3, 4. They don't kill each other. Men do. Serial killers, men. White men. Between 29 and it's just, we are the most demented. We have nipples. We have everything that we have is homologous. We have a penis is homologous with the clitoris. Everything. We don't live as long. You give a man estrogen, he grows breasts and loses facial hair. You give a woman testosterone, she'll kill you. What does that tell you? We're sick. We're sick. Seriously. Let me ask you something. Who are these sexual predators? Diddy. Where are the female predators? They may aid and abet. Do they have them out there? No. They don't think like this. They don't. Men do. And when you abuse a woman sexually at an early age, does she go on and abuse men? Not necessarily. Men do. What, women don't have PTSD? Men do. Now, granted, men are at war. It's a different story. Think about how differently they act. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It is bizarre. There's something wrong with us inherently. And we always go up, we show violence, predation, we pick people out. Men are bullies. Women can be bullies too, don't get me wrong, but in a different way. It's a different.
What do you think motivated Ghislaine Maxwell then?
What motivated her? Oh, money.
Yeah.
Her father, she was a dupe. Listen, let me tell you what she is. There's nothing more. She was the big sister. She was the stalking horse. She was the horse that you hang around, the stalking horse where you bring the horse into the camp and the other animals say, don't worry, it's a horse. Yeah, but behind the horse is a guy with a gun. She was the stalking horse. She came in and she says, hey, listen, you're pretty. And oh, thank you. I'm your big sister. And she lured people into that. Believe me, women they can be predators too, but not like men. I think she fell in love with Epstein. She did whatever he wanted. She was just, and also after a while, when you become a part and parcel of something that's demented, you lose objectivity. You don't know what's right and wrong anymore. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that people who worked in death camps during the Nazi regime were as savage people who they went home, they had family, they had this, they went to work in the morning, they came back, they acclimated. They probably said, well, they on their own mind said, well, it's the job, I'm not responsible. People are able to do the most horrible of things, and they do it on a regular basis because they convince themselves, they dupe themselves, they think it's okay. That's why it happens during the course of entertainment and the like. These people are so, you live in this world and you do anything to be a part of it. And what hip hop in particular and others, as we're going to find out, you go into this, oh, look at R. Kelly. Oh, this guy was he's going to go down as the Albert Fish of this. Go into a group of people, get poor people, young, black, in projects, no chance for any kind of advancement, people with no family, no fathers, no mothers, broken family. Offer them this. Come on in. I'm R. Kelly. Let me dangle your dreams in front of you. Do you want some of this? Do you want to be a star? Do you want to buy your mama a house? Good. Come on. And they use this innocence. And see, that's the thing. Going back to this Bieber, when I see these pictures, they freeze frame these pictures of Bieber and he's got that innocent look, my heart drops because that's what they want. They want that perfect, that thing which they were. They were at one point, and they want to shatter it the way somebody shattered them. And they want to destroy it. And they want to take the power and the life force of this innocence. There is nothing more. When you look at your beautiful baby and he smiles and laughs, don't you love when babies are laughing? What the hell are they laughing about? They're not unwinding. They're developing this thing which is coiled up. That beautiful thing, innocence, love, holding daddy's hands. They kiss you. They love you. They're beautiful. They're so perfect. Maybe around the age of 5, and then it happens. They don't know them anymore. Gore Vidal says he's never met a 16-year-old he liked or a 6-year-old he didn't. They're nice and they're innocent and they don't know any, and they have dolls and they kiss and they're afraid of monsters and they're beautiful. And then somebody says, I want that. I don't want their body. I want their soul. I want their innocence. I want their preciousness. I want to shatter it. I want to have it on the wall. This is exactly what we're talking about. And do you think that only applies to kids? No. Women, power, I'm in charge. I told you once before, I heard of a very famous person who one time suggested that the only actual person she might have been ever interested in was her son, because that's the only person who would tell her no, because they're so big. The world is, they can have anything they want. I told you, be very careful. Watch what happens whenever you have BAFTA, Academy Awards, Grammys. Whenever these people move into a place for an award ceremony or something, it's, you talk about a freak off, then they all meet. And then they all try to impress each other. Who's the freakiest? Hey, there's a party at so-and-so. Oh, and then each one tries to top the other within their sick world. And they don't know right from wrong anymore. And they're just, if I could just take everybody, this is terrible to say, snap my fingers and just have them disappear. I don't know where the music would have to figure a way out. But if I could somehow, if Hollywood, if music, if we could just have them go to another planet, they can play their music in a parallel universe. We never see them. Crime would drop 25%. You would see an improvement to get rid of these sick bastards, because there's something about this treatment. You're better than the rest of the people. You're owed something. That's why we pay you millions of dollars to do what? It's very heady, especially when you're not that smart to begin with.
Lionel, going back to what you said about Suge Knight, then Suge Knight's got a reputation as a gangster. If he plays the murder conspiracy card, then he's going to have a snitch jacket. Diddy, however, threw Shine under the bus at the shooting in the nightclub with j.lo, so he's got a trajectory of doing that kind of thing. Don't you think it's more likely that Diddy will try and give someone up for murder because murder's more serious?
If Diddy's trying to
the prosecutors.
If Diddy's trying to get away with murder himself, so to speak, or throw somebody under the bus to protect himself, that's one thing. See, that's kind of what a rat is. But if Suge Knight says, I'm here for justice, I want to find out I want this man vindicated. This was a friend of mine. This was somebody people loved. I'm not a rat. I'm not, this man was taken. I mean, this idea of, you have to ask yourselves, does that mean that you don't say, oh, and by the way, this notion of a gangster, John Gotti and other people, what is a gangster? For the most part, a gangster is somebody who does something who doesn't affect us one way or the other. A gangster is somebody we'd love to live next door to. I guarantee you, if you live next door to John Gotti in Howard Beach in Queens, you got nothing. You don't have to lock your door. Nobody. He'd never bother you. He doesn't bother you. And it goes back to the Jesse James things, perhaps. No, I think Suge Knight would say, this is a travesty. This is injustice. Again, I'm not necessarily suggesting there's a difference, but I think somebody who says, I want justice to be served to vindicate this man whose life was taken from us, namely Tupac, first is somebody who says, here, take the gun, you do the time, versus me, and the whole Diddy thing is such chicken shite, as you would say. It's his whole thing. He's a punk. Suge Knight, I'll put up. Suge Knight is not to be reckoned with. I mean, this guy's legit. He's as we say, not that he is, but I've heard people in New York to call him a stone killer. A real gangster versus a racketeer, a gangster, a street person, a real tough guy. I put my money on Suge Knight, and I think there's and also I think it's kind of I'm not trying to say this to be too far off, but it's like we told the black community, listen, Tupac wasn't that important to us. Again, I told you, we don't even care about John Kennedy Jr. I think people would want to see justice. I think they want to see whatever the finality is, just announce it. Don't even put anybody, just say, we know what happened. Stop giving us this business about it's a mystery. We don't know what happened. Have you looked? There are people alive today who know exactly what happened. Look at Malcolm X. That went on for years. The people who are walking around, they know exactly who did it. This goes to show you those second and third tier levels of justice.
You're getting asked whether Diddy will play the mental health card and if that will get him any mitigation.
No. What mental health? No.
Well, here in the UK, we've had a lot of BBC presenters, huge presenters, and they've been busted for stuff, and they've all played the mental health card, checked themselves into some institution, and when it came to sentencing, they've all got slaps on the wrist. It's like the old mafia tactic with the oxygen mask on.
Oh, the Sicilian flu, as we call it. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Right. Well, it's an interesting point. Look no further than Jimmy Savile. Remember that one?
I've written a book about Savile called Untouchable.
Oh, that was the one. And has King Chuck ever said anything? As he said, look, I had no idea. You didn't know? You didn't? I mean, come on. You've got MI5, MI6. They know everything. Same thing with Andrew and Epstein. They know this. They know this better. They just don't care. After a while, people feel like they don't care. I've known in the cases, for example, some instances of Catholic priests who thought, believe it or not, they were somehow anointed. Again, that's the power differential. Now, as far as Diddy goes, what I would do if this were just what's available, I would put on a story of his own horrors, his own lifestyle. What happened to you? Were you abused as a child? Are you acting out? Is this the only thing you know? Maybe a little bit. But see, here's the best part. And this is I'm fascinated by serial killers. And every serial killer will tell you, when I was a kid, I was abused, I was beaten. I know people who were abused and beaten. I know people who were bedwetters. I know people who were teased small animals, who light fires. I know this. I know people who were abused. There was a documentary one time I saw of kids in Africa and the Ivory Coast, kids who were assassins with AK-47s, assassins in African countries used by warlords. And they said, well, we want to adopt them into the United States. And they said, no, you don't want to kick this kid. This kid's an assassin. They turned out to be great because not all, but there's no such thing as something that makes you something. It might contribute it, but if it didn't do the same for me, it's not an excuse for you. There are other people who have done terrible things who had nothing wrong with them. I've had clients where one person in the family was the bad guy. The other ones weren't. So I think this excuse business, abuse excuse, it's okay. It's worth a shot, to make somebody feel sorry for them. I'm sure Diddy's got a reason for something. Diddy had a stutter.
Talking about trauma, how do women and men handle PTSD differently is the question.
I think it's one of the most, PTSD is defined as a natural reaction to something that's unnatural. And I think that one of the things that are and there's no way for us to figure this out, but if I had to guess, Bromelina, I would think it would be our ability to compartmentalize and deal with pain. Women are the idea of women as a fairer sex, I don't know where this comes from. Shaun, let's face it. Women go through childbirth. They go through menses. They go through this. Can you imagine? Let me tell you something. If men got period versus women, if men did, businesses will be closed all over the world at any given time. Rugby teams are shut down. Why? I'm on my period. What are you talking about? Where the hell is Shaun? I'm on my period. I'd check myself into a hospital. I'd be in an ambulance. I wouldn't be able to do. Women are out, horseback riding and swimming. We would be on an IV drip. I can't move. What is this? I'm dying over here. And I say that partly in just, I think women can handle pain differently. I think sometimes they may appear to be weaker because they figured out the best way to express themselves. Expressing anxiety and sorrow doesn't mean you're not doing it, just means you're expressing it differently. What do? We keep it in and we drink and we come on. So PTSD for us, I think for men, because we tend to be less facile with emotions, and we're not that conversant with emotions, maybe we feel it worse. Maybe a woman would have, it's like a pressure cooker. She can let steam off, handle it better, compartmentalize. I'm telling you, the very fact that, and you've seen this before. Have you ever seen a woman, maybe a relative, a sister, who is this brat who didn't like, oh, that's gross. And you thought, this is the most obnoxious child I've ever seen. Then they have a baby. And all of a sudden, and the person who went, all of a sudden is picking up poopy diapers and going, does this look okay to you? Smelling it. Hey, something's wrong with this. This mother who just all of a sudden 2 weeks ago, now they become super moms. I also have a theory too, or a hypothesis. Women tend to talk more. Women tend to appreciate. Women tend to communicate more. And one of the reasons why is to be a good mother throughout evolution, you got to be real good at looking at that baby and seeing something's wrong with this. I don't like the way she's looking at me. I'm picking up on emotions, and you're like this. Hey, anybody want to go to the pub? That's okay, Shaun. I'll take care of you. You go out with your friends. I'm gonna do the right thing here. And they're able to. Women can say, "What do you feel? How did you feel? How do you feel? Do you know what you feel?" This feeling, men, two guys in a bar or a pub. How you doing? We said, terrific, Shaun. How you doing? Great. How's work? Fantastic. Two women. And then he said, you're not going to believe this. What happened? And you think, oh, there they go again. More conversant, more able to deal with it, far better off. So to answer the question in its most circuitous and elliptical way, I think they handle PTSD probably, or they don't have it as much because they're able to identify, compartmentalize, or not compartmentalize, but address the various aspects and hues of feelings and that sort of thing. We can learn a lot from them.
All right, folks, 15 minutes left with Lionel. Get your final questions in. I got to put baby Ziggy to bed at 11 p.m. UK here. Lisa is asking.
He's awake?
He's awake. He went to sleep and then he's back up. I can hear him.
How old is Ziggy? How old is Ziggy?
He's one. You were talking about babies laughing. He's laughing right in the next room. All right, so Lisa, can you ask Lionel, does he think Justin Bieber has been corrupted into his adult years?
Well, put it this way. What I always do is I always tell people, rather than say what I think, I always say, I wouldn't be surprised if that were true. How do I know? I never met Justin Bieber. I have no idea. But then again, do you think by looking at him, do you think that he could be? I mean, look, I'm the only person. I always ask my wife at Lens Warriors on YouTube. Okay. Just going to tell you this. It's the most incredible. She's the most incredible person I've ever met in my life. But I ask her because she knows all these people. Listen, I'm Nick Drake's about as, contemporary as I'm going. And I'll say, what did Bieber do? Well, did he have a song? What did he do? Shaun, do you know what he did? Always know he was Bieber. But what did he do? I don't know. He might have put him on YouTube. Put what on YouTube? What does he do? Anyway, so he became this, and then, that Kate McKinnon, whatever's doing the imitations, and he covered himself with tats, and he always looked demented. Then he hooks up with Haley, I thought this looks like just a catastrophe ready to happen. If this guy's not screwed up, let me ask you this. Did you think Prince was screwed up? Come on. Did you ever look at him? Do you think that's an act? There are some people who just come across. How about Jim Carrey? Think he's screwed up? Oh, steamer trunk, emotional baggage. Of course he is. Maybe that's what makes them great. I don't know. But I know there are some people I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, oh my God. And I'll bet you the people that you think are crazy are not. Alice Cooper, one of the sanest people you ever met in your life. The guy's guillotines and eating bats. It's all an act. Ozzy Osbourne too, maybe. But Bieber, he just screams this sense of, I think you don't even know who he is and you realize there's something, this guy's got a lot on his mind, as they say. And it's sad.
Question from Marilyn. Where does blame and responsibility lie for conformity and things like milligram experiment? Ooh.
Oh, easy, Marilyn. Our ability to be told and conditioned to say, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. These people, you don't understand something. This is war, and this is the business. And these people, you see these people, they come to hang around. These young women, they ask for it. They know what they're doing. Systematic dehumanization of people by talking them, by convincing yourselves they're not as good as we are. They're not as important. They're kind of, it's the way racism starts. It's the way any kind of systemic type of abuse happens.
Franz wants to know how an autopsy report is authenticated.
Well, authenticated in court means when you introduce it, it's the actual report. Autopsies are very interesting. Most of the time, remember what it is. Most again, I don't know about your country, but in mine, there are many states and cities and jurisdictions that don't have a forensic medical examiner. They don't have a pathologist. They may have an undertaker or a coroner or somebody who goes and picks up the body. It's one of the most beautiful things. Michael Baden was a friend of mine, and he is, I think, one of the best. And the body, I know people don't think this is interesting, but to me, the body is telling you something. There's rigor mortis, the stiffness. Sometimes you can tell how long a body by the jaw and the stiffness. It gets stiff and then it becomes loose again. Livor mortis, the lividity, the colors, the way the blood deposits. Algor mortis, the temperature. That was a guy years ago. There was a kind of an investigator. He'd be first on the scene. And the old days, they would take like meat thermometers and basically stick it into the abdomen to get a temperature. How long has this person been dead? Here's one for you. At the University of, I think, Tennessee at Knoxville, they call this thing called the boneyard. And you can donate your body to be tossed out and to be studied to see how long maggots form, to see decomposition of putrescence, to see how body humors percolate into the ground. It's invaluable information. But people think, because as you know, in our world, we kid ourselves into thinking we're not dead. That's why we put a tie on Uncle Dave. And, I remember when I was a kid and I saw one of my relatives with glasses in a casket, glasses. I said, why does Uncle Ray have glasses on? Because he wore them. He said, didn't wear them when he was sleeping. So anyway, death is something we don't talk about. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about defecation. We don't talk about anything that's really important. We talk about everything around it, and we pat ourselves in the back at how open we are.
Is there anything we individuals can do about all of this depravity?
Yes, we work internally. And each of us become aware of this in our own little world. I can't change the world, but especially with kids, especially right now, you have to inoculate them. My wife and I talk about this all the time. We have to inoculate them. And you have to tell them and say, now, listen, I want you to explain something to you, little Shawnee. I don't want to freak you out, but there's bad people out there. Right. Okay. Now, don't mean you're going to freak out. But if ever this happens, you're going to tell me right away. You understand that? Yes. No matter what, you're never in trouble. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do that. Just immunize them, vaccinate them with the truth. And then that's the very first thing, because let's face it, if nobody could be ever victimized, I think depravity would be limited dramatically if there were no victims. Women have to realize things, especially with dating and with online services. Don't go to people. There's sick people out there. I think you know this, but I think you'd be surprised how many people don't know this.
Yeah. And do you want to tell everybody where they can find you and support you, Lionel? Because you're waking a lot of people up.
Well, I hope so. First of all, let me just say, I have absolutely something I said. Somebody tells me he's going to get the boy. He's going to get the boy. Anyway, I'm at Lionel Nation on YouTube. Lionel Nation on YouTube. I also want you to do me a favor as well. I mentioned my wife because I love her and she's everything to me. She's everything. She's my chiral opposite. We're like two hands. You know how they're not mirror images, they fit on top. She's at Lynn's Warriors. Devotes herself completely and totally towards ending human trafficking, helping with digital safety. Oh my God. Can he see
Ziggy,
me?
he's learned to wave now. Wave goodnight to Lionel. Come on.
Ziggy, can you do this?
Lionel.
Ziggy, can you do that? Is that you? Is that you? Who did that? What was that?
He's watching you. You can't hear it though because I've got a headset on.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, he's watching you though. He's watching
beautiful.
You.
Look at those. Look at that cherubic. Look at the face. Look at that.
He's got a guitar.
Oh God, so beautiful. Isn't that something? And also those people precious. Who say you're a lucky person. So anyway, Lionel Nation is the way. You don't have to do this. Poor kid. He's like, here he is. Now he's over here. Anyway, Lionel Nation and Lionel Media on Twitter. And again, my wife is at Lynn's Warriors, LYNNS Warriors. We are 100%. I want to tell you something, and you may not, while Shaun's gone, I can tell you this. I know this sounds like an act. We are completely and totally dedicated to the promulgation and the celebration of the truth and realism. Tell me not the way it should be. Don't tell me about the way you wish it were. Tell me the truth. I will always appreciate sincerity. I will always appreciate somebody trying to tell me the truth. And you know, Shaun, the stuff that will get you killed in this world is the truth. Not the lies, but the truth. Telling people the way it is, but I think you already know that. And also critical thinking. We have a thing in law school called IRAC, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. And you look at the issue. What's the issue that we're talking about? What is the rule? Analyze it and make a conclusion. That's it. Very sterile, very, non-judgmental. Give me the facts. Let me figure it out. That's what we do. And let me tell you something. It is a pleasure to be with you. And everybody I know in the world listens to you. They watch you. Everybody.
People are saying this has been one of the best nights on the channel ever, Lionel. So huge thank you for coming on. Your charisma, your knowledge, your expertise, your wisdom, it's all appreciated.
Oh, I love you. Listen, I love you to death. Let's do it again. And let's find out. Menendez is great too. There is just, there's so much great stuff. And again, my friend, seriously, thank you. I am so honored to be with you and your incredible audience. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll close the show and you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Lionel.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye. Wow, what an evening, folks. I've sat here for almost 4 hours now. And it just started out with such brilliant energy, and it's just maintained all night. Thank you for all of your questions. Lionel's links, if you want to support him, are in the description box below this video.